Welcome to another Sunday Satsang. Thank you for joining. I generally say this at the end of the talk, but let me just share it like a disclaimer today in the beginning. Whatever is shared, said in these talks, or for that matter, in any wisdom teachings or anything, anywhere that we may have heard or resonated with or not resonated with, take it all lightly. They're just concepts. Some may be accurate concepts, some may be inaccurate concepts. And some concepts may have been designed to stir some particular intention or emotion within ourselves, depending on what the concept is designed to do. Like the wisdom teachings are the concepts that are designed to reveal the illusion, so-called illusion, that is the label we use for the personal facade that seems to be living this life and that thinks it knows what life is and who it is, what the other is, what's going on, and what needs to go on for it to be fulfilled. That seems to be the journey that the person seems to be on. So the wisdom teachings are concepts that are designed to reveal that mechanism just as it is a mechanism and not the reality. And they're designed to point to what is constant, because the nature of the person and the pursuit it seems to be on, the nature of life, the ever flowing circumstances and events of life, relationships, the other, good, bad, happy, sad, excited, bored, whatever seems to be the content of the flow of life that person seems to be enjoying or enduring, seems to be ever fleeting, changing. It doesn't stay, it doesn't stick, it doesn't feel meaningful when it is seen that it doesn't stay. It cannot be held on to. I cannot be held on to as myself, as I know myself to be as this person, because one day I was like this, and many years later, or today, I am like this. So then, which one is me? And then 5 years down the line, I may be totally someone else as a person, as a personality. The body is ever changing. So I'm not the same baby who was born 35 years back. And this body is not the same that was even yesterday, even the moment before. Everything is shifting and changing and digesting and regenerating and dying as a system. So take it all lightly. Whatever is ever said, can be said, will be said, is not the truth. Because the truth cannot be spoken. What is within which all these words play and resonate and don't resonate. This is beyond description. This is free of description. This doesn't need a description. Only the person, the content itself which is made of concepts, which is conceptual itself, would require a concept or a description for what is. And that's why what is can be labeled as God, can be labeled as unfathomable to this conceptual self, because it cannot be conceptualized. And hence we worship God. Hence we bow down to the idea of God as something which cannot be understood, cannot be known. As the concept, as the person, it cannot be known. And yet, the very knowing that I am, that something is alive, it is beyond me as this person. There is a sense of aliveness which has taken itself to be Gurleen, and then Gurleen has created this whole story about herself, which is probably given to her from her environment, or which she created based on her own design, her own biology and psychology, as how those events in life were interpreted to be. So, this whole beautiful, complex house of cards is built and becomes the frame of reference of who I am and who I operate as, and where I operate from, and how I operate, what rooms and what blocks and what interpretations and reactions and responses I have available. They're all a concept. More so a useful concept. By announcing it as a concept doesn't diminish its importance, it doesn't mean that oh, just forget about it. No, it's not to diminish its use in the day-to-day life as we know it, in this play of me and the other that is going on every day, every moment. Even right now, there is this Gurleen sitting on this side of the camera and talking to the camera, and on the other side of the camera there is a Ranko, there is a Aman, there is another person who's sitting there, and other for Gurleen, but then for you, this Gurleen is other, and this play of me and the other goes on naturally, effortlessly. So what does it mean when we say it's a concept? Why does it need to be recognized, and why does it need to be acknowledged? It can be a powerful announcement or revelation for a conceptual self who is already kind of shaky in its house of cards, kind of feeling like there has to be more, because this house of cards is too fragile. It's too, I'm going to die. So, as this body, as this person, I know I'm not going to live forever. And I can be sick and I can be killed any moment. An aeroplane can just fly from this window and just story over. So, something knows that there has to be more than this. And this inherent knowing kind of creates this conflict within what I believed myself to be and what it feels like, that there has to be more. There is something permanent here. And that is what wisdom teachings are designed as concepts, as methodologies, as pointers to point to light up a curiosity and earnestness to question the reality of who we think ourselves to be, who we even think we know ourselves to be, or we know life to be, or other to be, and just question all of that. And in the beginning, it may seem very disorienting and destabilizing, as if, holy shit, all I've ever known was a lie, is a facade. Nobody ever told me this. And why did anybody not tell me this? And then we start blaming our parents or our grandparents or teachers, who we project as the images that they should have known better and they should have taught us better. Or I wasted these many years of my life. So it's a very humbling way of coming to grips with the idea that this is not who I am. So then what am I? What is here? It's the same question. What is here? That is the source, the perceiver. The subject, we can maybe ask, of this objective experience of the other. And in this place of subjectivity, of impersonal perceiving, of impersonal awareing, of formless awareness, even me, the person, is an object, just like this laptop in front of this body, these eyes. And as this subjectivity is recognized, as it unveils upon itself, it is recognized that there is no one here. There is no subject. And in the dissolution of subject, there is no object either, because an object can only exist in relation to a subject. And it is clearly confirmed there is no subject. So there is no me, there is no other. All there is this that is. That is you, that is me. And again, this you and me are just words, just labels. And this, even the label, this is a concept. Whatever is being spoken about, this is a concept in this moment also. Yet this itself is not conceptual. The sentence is a concept, but this itself is not a concept. It cannot be conceptualized. It cannot be talked about or talked about. Sorry. It cannot be defined. It cannot be confined. It cannot be even pointed to, because there is no boundary. All there is this. So who will point to what? There is no two here. Is it possible in this moment to loosen up the grip of the questions, the interpretations of all the baggage of knowledge that we think we know or we understand or don't understand? Can we loosen up the grip of all the agendas that we may hold for this life, for this body, health, fixing disease, healing relationships, maintaining relationships, whatever, being a good person, being an authentic person, all of those agendas have their own place, and they are all valuable in their own time and in their own play and role. But in this moment, is it possible to just loosen it all, just to let it be? There's no need to forget about it. There's no need to try and get rid of it. But is it possible to just take our interest back for this moment? We can take it back right after a few moments. And just in this moment, there's just remain as what remains when there is no bias, no interest, no motivation, no intention, no goal, no expectation, no agenda, no effort, even. No doing. Let's arrive where we already are. Let's arrive at that which already is all there is. This is where everything begins. Me, other, the story, the content, the questions, the answers, and yet it itself has no beginning. This is within which all these elements of content, including myself, play out, sustain, and this is where they all disappear or die, we may say. And yet it itself has no end, does not disappear, cannot die, we may say. And now that this is the lived experience, now that this is the beginning point of these words or the listening that's going on, let's witness from here equanimously that what is here, what needs to be witnessed, what is catching the attention. Not that there's a problem and it needs to be solved, but just might as well do something while we're sitting here, hey? Just out of curiosity. There is still a house of cards, seemingly. What if I may want to shift this room to a little different dimension or a different floor, and it might be more optimum as a different structure. And it will be noticed, if looked honestly, that coming from here, whatever energy is put into remodeling this house of cards or the conceptual sense of self is energetically very different from when the conceptual sense of self is trying to self-help itself or fix itself or make itself better in some way, trying to control itself or become a better person or whatever the agenda may be. Um, it may work, but the energy behind it is so much different. And when we talk about manifestation or just asking the universe and forgetting about it, that's really coming from the place of you as this is where everything is created, and that can be confirmed in experience. And this in itself doesn't need anything, doesn't want anything. So it doesn't have to ask for anything. It itself is the source of everything, including that which may ask for some other thing. And they both are in the content that arises within this that you are. This itself is the universe, is the cosmos. At least it's the link, the light, the ray of the sun, so to speak. And coming from that place, everything is already fulfilled. There is already peace. There is already no need, nothing missing. And from that place, this character in the game of life can be shifted, can be looked at, can be accepted, whatever seems to arise in the content of the play of life. Because this that you are is inherently, naturally, effortlessly all allowing. Even the conflict is allowed, the pain is allowed, suffering is allowed. Trying to fix the conflict, trying to relieve the suffering, the effort to soothe the pain is also allowed. Pleasure is allowed, excitement is allowed, joy is allowed, peace is allowed. clinging to them personally is allowed. Resistance to them leaving is allowed. The content is allowed to be exactly as it is. And as that allowance, that inherent, natural, effortless allowing is shining upon the content in itself, that may include anything that is other than allowing, that natural acceptance, that natural space that is just there for everything to be as it is. And from that reference point, the resistance in the content, the non-surrender, the non-acceptance, which is actually the suffering mechanism, can really morph, can really transform, transmute into the very nature of its source, which is all allowing, all accepting. Just being impersonal. Me as the conceptual self can try very, very hard and try my best to come from that unbiased, equanimous, loving, accepting place. It may work for some things. I may be able to fool myself, and some things may even shift temporarily or seemingly. Yet, the core of the conceptual self as a separate identity is based on separation, is based on loss, is based on loss with the inherent self that you are. So it is built on loss, it is built on lack, it is built on something missing, and it has to fill that void. So it is impossible for it to come from a place of fulfillment. The only fulfillment that can be found, even as the conceptual self, is in the surrender, is in the bowing down, is in the curiosity and interest and earnestness to find its own facade, to surrender to the recognition of yourself as you are, beyond the person, and to surrender to the presence of the impersonal amness that you are. So the personal can only surrender to the impersonal. That reminds me of a story or an anecdote from mythology, Hindu mythology, where Lord Hanuman is, a helper, a servant to Lord Ram. And he was a disciple of Lord Ram. And Lord Ram, as a guru, just testing his disciple, asks, "Who are you?" So Lord Ram asks Lord Hanuman, it's like, "Who are you?" And Hanuman very lovingly answers, "When I don't know who I am, I'm your servant. When I know who I am you." This is really the personal and the impersonal. So if when the personal knows what it is, what it originates from, where its source is, it is impersonal. It is that itself. And when the personal doesn't know what it is, where its source lies, it is a servant of this. And there is no separation between being a servant of the impersonal or being the impersonal. It's the seemingly two movements within the impersonal that you are. There is no one better than the other, because the personal movement may now want to find, oh, do I want to be the servant or do I want to be the impersonal myself? There is no pursuit in life, if that may shatter many hopes and dreams that we have. I think I need to say this. It's important for us to hear it sometimes. There is nothing in life that we can achieve to feel that, oh, I've done it. May it be even enlightenment. Because if something can make me feel like, oh, I have done it, yes, my purpose of life is fulfilled, that's definitely not enlightenment. Because enlightenment in itself is the absence of the one who needs to feel that, is the absence of the one who takes it personally, who thinks it is real and life is real and life has to deliver something, or I have to do something in life to feel good enough finally. And it is this very movement that falls away, is when we can say that enlightenment may have happened. So nobody ever gets enlightened. That's what that means. Because the one who wants to get enlightened is actually absent. And then there's nobody left who's interested in even knowing if enlightenment has happened or not. Very ironic. And yet so simple. Definitely not easy. If we set on to do it, impossible. If it happens, it happens. Life is not an exam. We're not here to do things right. We're not here to get good marks. We're not here to compete with anything or anybody. Life is just this body that you are in, whatever this feels like, good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. It may be in pain. That's it. That's life. And then it may shift the next moment. Then that's it. That's life. And then it may shift the next moment. Then that's it. That's life. That's it. What else? Nothing else. Growing up in the society, the human society that we have grown up into, it's conditioned within us generation after generation, and the actual practical interpretation of it may look different based on in which time we were, or our parents were, or their parents were. But the conditioning instilled seems to be that better be a good person. You better perform better than others to be loved, to be accepted, to be included within the society, within the family, within our good books, whatever that means, to deserve the love that somehow seems conditional. And as children, it is registered within the system, and then the system somehow creates ways to perform in a certain way, to achieve in our own certain ways. Some people try to achieve by getting good grades, becoming academically or professionally successful. Some people go out and start helping family and then helping people and then helping the society as an act of service, and that is what feel makes them feel that they have achieved whatever it is, good deeds or love or whatever the idea of that achievement that has been put on the pedestal. And then someone else may uh, take that as an opportunity to rebel against what is known. So you tell me to be a good person, I'm going to go be a non-good person, whatever that means. Basically, that means opposite of what you tell me to do, but it is still based on what has been told to me. So all we can ever be, all we can ever do is what the environment has offered as an opportunity for us to follow or to oppose or to optimize or anywhere between that spectrum. And then this biology has come with its own design, its own map, based on which the environment or the events or the situations are interpreted and registered in a certain way, because there may be the same happening for two different designs and they are interpreted totally differently for those two designs. So same environment, different designs react differently. It's just like a chemical reaction. All of this seemingly is going on, and this is just a way to interpret very, very vaguely for what seems to be going on, but who knows what's going on, really. And who needs to know even? Who would need to understand what's going on? Why? Because that may be another sense of achievement that is put on the pedestal, that I need to know who am I, and I need to know what life is and what's going on for me to feel good enough, or I've been there now. I've done my part. Again, coming from a place of loss, coming from a place of something missing that we think will be fulfilled once we understand what's going on and what we are and what this is. The pursuit itself is based on misunderstanding. And that may be realized once it is shown that it's impossible to understand what is this, what is going on. And yet there are many ways to explain it, from this angle and from this angle, from the sciences angle, from spirituality's angle. There are many, 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 many angles. Again, all concepts. Again, not demeaning their validity. They're all valid and they're all useful depending on what the purpose is. But what is intended here to point out that they are concepts is to not take them as truths and not mistake them as reality or an explanation of reality, because reality in itself is as simple as this. And this is so simple that it cannot be put into words. This simplicity is so simple that the most complex happening is just happening like that. The flowers are just flowering like this. How? Seed becoming million seeds, and then those million seeds becoming how? And yes, we do have scientific explanations for that. But really, how? These nails, is there like a stack of nails in the hand and it's kind of like coming out a little bit, little by little bit? Where do they come from? And yes, we can say that there are substances that transform and become the nails or the hair or whatever, but they just keep growing out of nothing, out of nowhere. Both concepts, whichever one serves the journey that we seem to be on in this moment, is the concept that will seemingly resonate with our system. That's why it is said that whatever resonates is the truth for now, and whatever doesn't resonate can be put on the side burner until there may come a time when whatever used to resonate is not resonating anymore and something else starts to resonate. There's nothing wrong with that. And that can only be the case when I hadn't taken those earlier concepts as the truth. And now that they don't resonate anymore, I start questioning myself, or I questioning that, well, then what is truth? Well, truth is not a concept. Truth is just what is. And what is this right here, closer than the idea of this. If it feels complicated, it's not this. If it feels too simple, it's probably this, but being looked at from the lens of the person. If it's too boring, it's probably being looked at from the lens of the person. Okay. Let's chat. If there's anything coming up for anyone, feel free to raise your electronic hand and I can unmute you. Ranko.
Hi, Colleen.
Hi, Ranko. How are you?
Nice. You?
Very well. Thank you. A little tired, but well.
Yeah. It's hot right here. Very hot.
Well, it's not as hot here as it is used to be. So it's a little more pleasant than usual. It's hot where you are?
Mm,
Yeah.
extremely hot, like 38 Celsius degrees, which is very unusual for my part of the world,
Mm,
but I will survive.
yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed that you have a website. Is it a new thing or?
Yes, it is. Thank you for asking. I totally forgot to tell you guys. So just this week, we launched the website, and I'm going to post it on the YouTube channel, and I'll share it on the WhatsApp community as well. So just some information about the platform itself, a little veneration to the teachers, to the guru that has made Gurleen happening possible, um, and just some access to one-on-one sessions that I have been offering. So we have been offering those on the WhatsApp community on donation basis, but then there is going to be an ongoing offering with some financial contribution from anyone who wants to avail that opportunity. And any retreats or any future events that we may plan together, uh, like the pajama retreat that happened last month. So those kind of things would be shared on the website also. So that is going to be another like central location to find all the information. Yeah.
I read a little bit and lots of beautiful things there. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you mentioned it. Otherwise, I would have totally skipped that part today.
I saw it on your announcement, so I want to check it. And yeah, really beautiful. You said today about spiritual concepts, and spiritual concepts for me are like a Trojan horse for our thinking mind.
Sorry, what?
Trojan horse,
Okay. Yes.
if you are familiar with that.
Yes.
So our mind always needs imagination. Its nature is to imagine always. So basically, we create two worlds. One is real, one is what is, and one world is what our mind imagines, which is totally ghostly world, not existent world. And basically, we are living most of the time in this ghostly world, not really seeing that everything, basically everything, is imagined, not real. So mind it's creates more concepts in that situation, more esoteric concepts, trying to explain. And it hurts like concepts like everything is consciousness. He wants to understand. He wants to create something. He wants to imagine something, but it is not imaginable. It cannot be imagined. So it creates more concepts, concepts like God, and more esoteric concepts, more. And at some point, it sees that it's not working. It's not going anywhere. So the only possible solution is to be silent. And that is the shift. So that occurred to me when I was reading your autobiography on the website.
Mm.
Because previously, when I was reading autobiographies of other gurus, teachers, I always used to imagine how they look like, how they behave. I created imaginary picture then, which is basically not real picture. Imagined, like inflated in a way, inflated imagination. But
Yes.
with time, I understand that they're ordinary persons, because in time I've met lots of gurus, teachers, and I really see that they are just ordinary persons.
Yeah, just human. Flesh and
And
bones and
even,
blood.
yeah, and even this ordinariness
Yeah.
is much more magnificent than any of my imagination,
Yeah.
because we cannot even see the complexity of every person and anything that is happening around us, which we label as ordinary. But in a way, it is not ordinary, it's just magnificent.
Yeah. The ordinariness in itself is the extraordinary that the ordinary is seemingly looking for. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you. That just reminds me of a story, if I may share. Today is the story day, I feel. uh, so there are like these three people flying in an airplane together, going to a place. Seemingly, all three of them are going to meet their guru, and they happen to start talking, and one of them say, oh, my guru is the greatest. He can levitate when he's meditating. His body just comes, floats up in the air for hours and hours, and there's this ball of light around him, and it's just such a view, and you just forget about all your worries and problems, and you just melt into his greatness. The other man's the everyone was like, oh wow, that's great. And then second man's turn comes, and then he says, well, my guru is so great that he can fast for 99 days nonstop, and he can even live without water for, it was a unrealistic number, I'm just going to make one up, for like 20 days. And it's like, oh wow, that's great. And then the third one, now they both are looking at the third one, that he'll now share the greatness of his guru, and he's kind of like busy in his book, and then he realizes, oh, he needs to say something. And then he says, oh well, my guru is so great that he eats when he's hungry and drinks when he's thirsty, and then just meditates when he feels like, without any levitating. And then which one's the greatest? Is there a competition? So where does the wisdom lie?
Yeah, it's always a mind game. Mind
Yeah.
wants to create
Yeah.
diversity. And
Yeah, we love miracles, but the actual miracle is the very humanness itself. What a miracle. Try and make sense of it. Impossible. Yeah.
yeah, I had experience when one of the very famous singers came to my town, and there was a very simple lady who was typing on the machine. And the singer was like very impressed. I always want to do that. I always want to type very fast on the machine, but I never couldn't. And that is what is saying the most famous singer in my country. So in that sense,
Yeah, that's true. If I am an aspiring singer, the most famous or the most talented singer would be my guru for sure. Yeah.
so there is a recognition.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights and observations, whether they have a question or not, are always useful. I bet for everyone who listens to them also. So thank you for always coming forward with such beautiful insights.
Thank you. I always want to put it out because you can comment it and we can see it from different angles.
Yes, that's true. Thank you, Ranko. I believe Echo just joined us. Okay, Aman says she has to leave. Thank you for joining. Have a good day, my love. And I just want to say again that if anyone has to share anything, please feel free to raise your electronic hand or just put a message in the chat if that's easier, and I can unmute you. And if not, just marinating in what is not conceptual is really all there is that can be done, whatever that means. That is what it means when it is said, be yourself, enjoy yourself. It's really just coming to home to this that you are without any labels. And then from this unfathomable, pointless point, then we are free to play with all the labels, as more important labels, as less important labels, so that we can labelize and categorize them all left, right, and center. And that's okay. That's the Leela that Krishna talks about. And it is here to be played. It's available in all its flavors, choicelessly. Whether I like it or not is also a flavor in this seeming moment. So let's play, my friend. Have a good day, night, wherever you are in the world, and see you next Sunday.